Could Rover commit genocide? Do I have your attention? What's going on, guys? Thanks for stopping by. Please make sure to like and subscribe. It helps out the channel and I appreciate it so much. We've got another awesome Wuthering Waves topic I've been thinking about. Let's get into it. Okay, so why did I just ask that wild question to start the video? Well, I like to think I play a very healthy amount of Wuthering Waves. Such a very normal, super healthy amount that it starts to wander into my thoughts, my dreams. Yeah, super normal. And as I play more and discover more about the game and its characters, I really become more confused and start to understand the main character less. But that's the fun part, because hidden in the details and told under the folds of the dialogue and open world, the truth bleeds through, allowing new ideas and theories to form. New ideas as to what defines a protagonist for this story. This protagonist, of course, is our dear Rover, and today I will be sharing why I believe a protagonist like Rover could turn out to become a cold-hearted hero, by any means a hero turned villain, capable of the same atrocities of a protagonist like none other than Eren Yeager from Attack on Titan. Now, on the surface, a comparison between Eren Yeager and Rover seems frankly ridiculous. One is a vengeful, rage-filled soldier fighting against monstrous giants in a grim quasi-medieval world. The other is a calm, amnesiac wanderer in a futuristic sound-based fantasy. Their aesthetics, their motivations, and their very narrative functions appear to be polar opposites. However, this is precisely why the comparison is so compelling. It forces us to look past the surface level differences and confront the core philosophical questions both characters embody. Eren's journey is a grim descent into a destiny he cannot escape, while Rover's is a hopeful ascent from a past they deliberately chose to forget. They are two sides of the same archetypal coin, protagonist burdened by a predetermined catastrophic fate, who must choose between accepting a tragic legacy and attempting to rewrite their own stories. Now, as a disclaimer, we know the ending of Attack on Titan. It's a completed series, and Wuthering Waves is still ongoing. So let's just take into mind the timing of events in AOT as I refer to things in Wuthering Waves. All right, let's get into the deep dive. I want to start off with this thought exercise, this question. What happens when a hero is not a champion of destiny, but a prisoner of it? When doing my research on understanding Rover further, I started to question more and more just how much control, if any, Rover actually has over the lament happening or not. A question viewers may have asked themselves about Eren and his decisions to accept the fate given to him. In the 2.6 update of Wuthering Waves, the question is burned into the plot. Sort of. Well, mostly. Often throughout the development of the story, Augusta asks Yuno about the idea of fate, and if it is set in stone, can it still be challenged against or changed? They both seem to believe so. Did Eren? Do you think Rover does when he heard that? This is a common theme for perhaps most of the characters in the WoW universe, but exponentially so when it comes to Rover. Even before this update, I saw remarkably shocking parallels between the two that inspired me to make a short about it. And I know if we keep diving into this together, I will get you to see further where I'm drawing my conclusions. If we use a character like Frolova as an example as to when fate takes you into its own hands and you fight against it, you become the very monster you sought to fight against for reasons you will justify. But we clearly see Rover disavow Frolova's ideas as to attain her goals. He claims them wrong. This Rover flipped the coin to its other face for himself, but still, it's the same coin. Let's get into what I mean by this firstly. For those who don't know, who is Eren Yeager? Eren Yeager is the protagonist of the series Attack on Titan. Some would argue also the antagonist. He lives in a world where the last remnants of humanity are forced to live in cities protected by massive walls to keep out giant, man-eating humanoids known as Titans. The story begins when Eren's hometown is attacked and his mother is devoured by a Titan right before his eyes. This traumatic event ignites an intense rage in him, and he swears to kill every single Titan. To fulfill this vow, he joins the Survey Corps, an elite military branch that fights and studies the Titans outside of the walls. A major turn in his journey comes when he discovers he has the unique ability to transform into a Titan himself, giving him a powerful weapon to use against his enemies. His simple quest for vengeance slowly morphs into a much darker, more complex story as he uncovers the true nature of the Titans and finds himself becoming a key player and, eventually, a central villain in a brutal global conflict. Eren Yeager plays the most pivotal role in almost all of history, and when we go to our protagonist in Wuthering Waves, Rover, I insist you watch my video on understanding Rover I made before. But now that we've come to understand who Eren is, let's do our side-by-side comparison. The first and most crucial point is how each character approaches the weight of their legacy. Eren's journey is a tragic fulfillment of a destiny he inherited. He gains the memories of his predecessors through the attack and founding Titans, which show him a horrifying, pre-written future. He sees the rumbling, he sees the terrible things he must do, and he becomes a slave to the story in a desperate, last-ditch attempt to save his friends. His power is his prison. His knowledge is his cage. His story is the one of a hero who must become a villain to save the ones he loves, a concept of freedom that is ultimately a paradox. And while his friends fight to deny this fate, Eren actively fights to uphold his given fate. To fight it would be worse than death. It would mean everyone he loves will die. So rather than erasing his own memories, he actively erases his friends' memories in order to fulfill his end goal. Rover's story is the precise inverse. The amnesia Rover awakens with isn't a plot convenience, it's a strategic move. Following the theories of Rover's memory erasure, stemming from his possible endless attempts of stopping the lament, after countless failures, a past version Rover chose to wipe their own memories. This was a deliberate act of self-erasure to break free from a predetermined cycle of apocalyptic despair. Even if this isn't true, we could still make the comparison. When starting Wuthering Waves, we see Rover being reset by a woman either in another dimension or something equivalent. And then she sends Rover off to Solaris 3. This is a fate being given to him in of itself that escapes Rover's purpose as he explores the world and discovers more and more about his past. Some of these discoveries bring us to face characters such as Frolova, who challenges Rover as she shares the very same belief by Eren in that to protect your loved ones by any means for their safety is necessary, no matter the cost. Could Rover's discoveries play the same role in which Eren was given the memories of his future and past, changing Rover forever? Rover actively denied Frolova. During their dialogue, Rover's hypocrisy is called out by her. The weight of both Rover and Eren's legacy weighs heavy, but Rover's freedom comes from a lack of memory, while Eren's knowledge of the future becomes his tragic burden. This leads us to the second parallel, the ideology of the greater good. We have Eren, a young boy who doesn't know why Titans attack his island at the start of the story. Then we have Rover, who doesn't understand the lament and why it occurs, destroying everything in its path. Eren's original vow was to eradicate all Titans. But as he learns the true nature of the world, his goal shifts to a monstrous act of revenge against a world that has wronged his people. His final solution, the rumbling, is a horrific, genocidal act he believes is the only way to break the cycle of hatred and achieve peace for his friends and his nation. When we first start the series as well, it feels as though we are in an apocalyptic world, yet somehow in the past, where humans were left to survive in a world they didn't understand any longer, filled with monsters that ate them for reasons unknown. This is the initial belief shaped for the viewer. And as Eren discovers the truth of his world, the viewer does too, changing him, changing us. And these changes in Eren stem from the change in understanding his destiny and learning his memories given to him. Now, Wuthering Waves shares the same apocalyptic world building as Attack on Titan. It's set in a futuristic environment, also destroyed by a catastrophic event, leaving people to defend themselves from monsters. Although they don't eat people in this world, thankfully. But they are just as destructive and deadly. In Wuthering Waves, Rover is constantly fighting against a faction that embodies this very philosophy. The Protagonists believe the lament is not a curse, but a necessary salvation for humanity to ascend to a higher state of existence. They actively seek to intensify the next and final lament, the true lament, with the goal of sacrificing the lives of the many for the evolution of the select few superhumans. Given that we can also theorize that Rover has a potential hand in the creation or workings of the Protagonists in the past life, we could also string together the theme that Rover isn't just fighting villains, they're fighting a dark, potential version of themselves, a past that Rover once subscribed to that follows Eren's ruthless ideology. It brings into question if Rover ever did start the Protagonists and whether or not they held these beliefs, because if Rover did, then perhaps Rover was given an ability to fight their fate, while Eren either denied it or was not. They both have their own ideal as to how to achieve the greater good of their justified objective. Now, finally, let's talk about the cost of their choices. Eren's journey is one of immense self-imposed loneliness. Burdened by the weight of a predetermined future, he pushes away the very friends he's fighting to save, even erasing their memories and using every manipulation tactic to turn them against him. His cruelty to Armin and Mikasa is a calculated, tragic act of self-sacrifice. Isolating himself to ensure they become heroes, he believes he must bear the weight of his actions alone. He must accept his fate and embrace it fully, even deciding that the person he loves most be the one who brings him to his end. Rover's journey, it's the complete opposite, it feels. If fan theories that suggest Rover's countless failures in the past were a direct result of their isolation and inability to build trust, then the current Rover's success and ability to defy fate stems directly from their willingness to rely on others and build a community. Their allies from Jinzhou to Black Shores, constant reminder that the cycle can be broken through collaboration, connection, and not a single solitary destructive act. But if this is true, the memory erasure and reset that we see at the beginning of the game may indicate a deeper, more intricate development as to Rover's motivations. All that remains for any of this to be true or not, though, is the development of the Wuthering Waves story. I believe a twist just like this is very possible, or something similar, regarding our beloved main character taking on the role of a twisted fate. To deny it or accept it is fully the question, if Rover even can. As prefaced before, the story of Attack on Titan is already completed. We know the ending of that story. Wuthering Waves, however, we don't. All of this could be way off, so this video is all in fun to emphasize the shared similarities that I noticed between the two protagonists of these stories. When discussing the fate of a protagonist trapped in a destiny they either fight to deny, but eventually have no choice but to accept. Rover's future doesn't seem so clear. In the end, Eren Yeager and Rover are two sides of the same coin. They both embody the modern protagonist burdened by a cyclical, apocalyptic fate. So what do you think? Do you see the same similarities I see? Is there anything else that you think I didn't mention that you want to talk about? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives like this into your favorite games. I mean, it's mainly WoWa, but I appreciate it as always, and thanks for watching. Peace.